What's up, Solid Rock Youth? Welcome back to another episode of our series. And today we're going to do something very interesting, very personal, and very important. It's called faith versus fear. And before we start with that, I'm just going to take faith and fear out of it, and I'm going to say directly God versus Satan. Before we jump into this, I just want to make something very, very, very clear that just because God and Satan is in a war with one another does not make Satan God's equal. Genesis 1 verse 1 says that in the beginning God created heavens and earth. Satan is a created thing and not a creator. So he is not God's equal. So before we get into this, let's evaluate the two kingdoms that's at hand here. At God's hand, we have the angels, we have peace, we have joy, we have happiness, we have all those, we have love. And at the side of Satan, we have his demons, we have restlessness, you feel on edge, you feel depressed, you feel sad, you experience a lot of heartbreak. But the main difference for today's session we're going to deal with is the freedom that faith has and the bondage that fear has. And this all starts, I'm going to start reading John 10, verse 7 to 10. I'm going to use the international version that says, "Therefore Jesus said again, very truly I tell you that I am the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture." Now, this verse is very important because we're going to stop there for a bit, which says, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." So we're just going to focus on that part that says the thief comes to steal, to kill, and destroy. And that is what happens with fear. The driving force behind Satan's kingdom is fear. And it all starts with a lie. And this lie lies in your subconscious, and you start to think about it, and then you start to fear for something specific. And that causes you to stand in bondage under that thing. Because you can't really go anywhere, you can't really do anything because you're scared of the outcome. And I can truly tell you guys that I know this firsthand, because ever since I was a little girl, up until the beginning of this year, I struggled very, very deeply with fear. And my fear was people breaking into our house. And, and then I just started living on my own. So I was so afraid that it got up until the point where I only slept 2 hours a night I'm talking about a period of 6 months. And it got to the point where I felt depressed. I felt on edge. I was angry. And I just couldn't do it anymore. And then I started to think, but I'm a sinner because I'm afraid. I'm a sinner because I have fear in me. So that brought me to the question, but is being scared a sin? And the answer was no. See, you have the choice to either be scared of what Satan can do, or you can start to have respect for God, for what God has already done. And then I said, okay, you know what? I'm done with trying to be a better Christian. I'm done with trying to have faith. And I ask God, why can I not have faith in you? Why is it so hard for me to fall asleep? Why am I too scared to sleep with all the lights off? And then God asked me very, very straightforward. He asked me, but do you trust me? And obviously, of course, I'm a Christian. I'm born again. Of course, I trust him. But I said, do you trust me when you ask me to keep you safe? And my answer was no. And at the time, I felt so bad for saying no. I felt so ashamed for saying no. But then God just told me, but by admitting in what state you are at this time is the first step for me to help you to trust me. Because you see, when you're in a place where you are so afraid to do anything, you're trying to pray out of it. You're trying to pray out of fear towards victory, instead of just completely being honest with God and standing in the victory which He has already given us and praying from it and not to it. And this, just to make it a little more, to simplify it a bit, there's two things that I had to do in order to go from the bondage that I was with fear into the freedom that I had with Jesus. And the first thing that I needed to realize is that in Romans 12 verse 3, Jesus said that, Paul writes that he said, God allots each and every one with a measure of faith. That means the faith that you think you have, the faith that you feel you should have, is not up to you. God has already said that you have this amount of faith. And here's the thing about God. He doesn't give you a little bit. He gives you an overflow in abundance. And so the first step that you need to do is you need to surrender your faith to God. You need to come to a point where you say, you know what, God, I'm just wash it clean. And the faith that you have allotted for me, show me how much that faith is. Help me to trust you that I have faith. And if you want to read in Hebrews 11, verse 1 to 3, it says, faith is the confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. This is what the ancestors were commended for. By faith, we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, and so that what is seen was not made out of what is visible. So the first step to faith, guys, is accepting that God exists. It is knowing that He exists. It is knowing you have confidence that when Genesis writes, when in Genesis stands that He said, let there be light, you know here, you are confident that that is the truth. That is the first step to having faith, is knowing God exists. And the second thing is to be able to grow in your faith, you need faith to grow in. And you need to know who you're putting your faith in. And that is the second step that you guys need to do, is you need to know who you're putting your faith in. You need to actually question, okay, because I asked God, and I had to be very honest with Him in a very respectful way, and I had to ask Him, but show me that I can trust you. I'm not putting Him on trial or asking Him to prove me wrong or something like that. I was just honest and said, God, I'm honest. I don't trust you, and I don't know how to have faith in you. And I asked Him, show me. And when you go further in John 10, from 11 to 15, He says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away. The wolf attacks the flock and scatters it. The man runs away because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep knows me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And it literally happened when Jesus died on the cross for us, that He gave His life for us. But that is an everyday thing that He does. He loves and He cares so much for us, and He is the good shepherd that you can have the world's best youth leaders. You can have the best pastors ever. But at the end of the day, when push comes to shove and you're scared, the only person who would really come through for you is Jesus. And if you guys want to read Psalm 23, where He literally talks about the Lord is my shepherd and I lack nothing, I want to focus on verse 4 that says, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. The thing about faith, guys, is, and we are human, we have a tendency to do that. The moment when push comes to shove, we ask God, but where are you? Why am I having a tough time? Why are bad things happening to me? Why is there bad things in the world? Then you start questioning whether God exists, and not start questioning God, how can I grow in this situation? Having faith in God is for a better or for worse thing. And you have to come to a point where you say, God, even when things go bad, I will still trust you. I will still love you. Just never leave me. And trust me, the nearer you draw to God, He will draw near to you. So if you guys want to just take it in for a bit, and where you are during this week, if you're watching it right now, just take a moment and just put the ball back into the court of the kingdom of God. and be honest with him. If you feel that you lack trust, you lack faith, then tell him and ask him to show you how it works. Show him the faith that he has allotted to each and every one of you. And even for better or worse, guys. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have a great week. And if you guys are free on Friday night, 6 o'clock, please join us here at Community Church. We want to meet more of you. We want to keep seeing you here. And you guys have a great day.